I just realized how with every new video I basically add like one or two more ships to my ship collection. Now, first a little word on the Gnosis. Well, the Gnosis kind of had a epic fail. Maybe I just picked the wrong ship for the wrong target. Could be the case. I'm definitely going to give this build one more chance to see if I can keep, or maybe, you know, always a chance that I messed up. So this build will get one more chance, and if it fails the second time, well, then I will change the decomposer build, and I'll probably use cannons or something similar. Now, one thing that I will probably change right away on the Gnosis is I will probably swap out that tracking disruptor. I mean, this is a battlecruiser. It's a relatively large ship, so not much that it would help with that one tracking computer. I thought it could help, maybe it does help again. I will definitely give the tracking computer another shot, but I want to test this out with the shield module, which with the command burst module, that should give me some extra tank and extra shield volume. Could have had made a difference in the battle that I had, but this is basically how it will look, and we will see if the Gnosis will fail a second. If it fails a second time, I will probably change the build. Now, besides the Gnosis, I also brought the Canyu prototype, and I also brought back the store, the Space Banana. I also plan to use these ships. Now they also have the decomposer build, so we will see if this is going to stay. If it doesn't work the way I imagine that it would work, I'll probably change it to something else. I also can easily just skill out of the decomposer skills that I have maxed out, so not a big deal. And the Space Banana. Now this, I think I'll keep using this ship for the very last serious targets, I guess. For the last serious targets, after all. Should be fun. It has decent DPS, almost half the DPS of the Canyu prototype, which is kinda interesting when you think about it. But these are the two new ships that I basically brought to this hangar here, and we will see if the Gnosis will have a second failure. Could happen that it will fail a second time. Maybe I just picked the wrong ship for the wrong target. I mean, you will see what I'm talking about in this video. But let's go to the first target. We have a Balgorn. The last couple PvP videos I always started with Balgorn. This time I changed the build a little bit, and I have 4 disruptors because the Balgorn didn't really have a good weapon, and well, the best thing in this case is to just hope that they don't have a lot of stabs, just warp 0 and pray that 4 points will be able to hold him. I don't have a Death Wish nanocore. Don't have it yet, at least. I have all the Whisk though. Might spend the Isk for the Death Wish nanocore. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't really need one that much nowadays. Ironically, I landed. Well, actually, that's a pretty good weapon. Yeah, 29 kilometers. I accept that. That's pretty good distance. Right at the edge of my disruptor range, I started to shoot before pointing it because I already landed, and it's a very fast Balgorn. Didn't wanna waste too much time waiting for the points. Usually I delete a Balgorn in couple seconds, since the Balgorn is no longer a very good ship nowadays. And the Balgorn has been destroyed. I took a little bit of shield damage, but nothing too serious. Nothing too serious. The Balgorn panicked. Okay. Well, I did get some loot. Not the best loot, but I am not going to complain. Loot is loot. Whatever the loot might be, it is still loot. So I'll loot and warp out.
Warp drive active.
It is still a Balgoron kill, and I'm not going to say no to a Balgoron kill. That would be kind of funny if I say no to a Balgoron kill. Always juicy to shoot one of these down. Let me just change my position, since this is not a good angle in the asteroid belt. I usually like to have a good 90-degree angle so I can easily just burn back to the station and basically dock with timer. Since I usually nowadays just dock with timer, no need to stay in space, just kill the target and dock. Since it works, I have got used to it pretty much with any ship. And I will go back to that belt because apparently that's the best warp in position that we can get. Makes the, you know, the whole thing actually wait a second, I'll just let me take a look at the kill. 4.5 billion unfortunately did not drop much. The salt drones, of course, they did not drop, but regardless, still a pretty good kill. Not going to complain about a Balgoron kill. Good catch nonetheless. Okay, let's go to the next target. We have a Cyclone. Now, I have been playing a little bit of catch with this Cyclone. I warp in, they warp out, I warp in, they warp out, and it's been like that. This is basically the Gnosis part that I was talking about at the start of the video. Now, the Cyclone did seem decently tanked. Have to remember that the ship does have decent DPS and have bombard as well. So the Cyclone definitely does have a decent amount of DPS. It's not like it's completely paper, and this is basically the moment where you have to basically, you know, kind of be more prepared when you're engaging ships like that. The ship refused to move and the Cyclone warped out, which is fine. I will warp to, let's see. Well, I have these two anomalies. The Cyclone warped to the gate. I'm obviously not going to go to the gate since I have the criminal timer. I'll just warp to the anomaly, and then from the anomaly I will warp back to maybe 70 kilometers, and maybe the Cyclone will show up quite close to me when they warp back, if they warp back from the gate. If I had a skirmish, I would have 30-kilometer range with the disruptors. Maybe that's a good idea to have a skirmish on the Gnosis, I don't know. But again, the whole decomposer build is basically like a troll build that I just want to play around with. And if it doesn't end up doing well, if it doesn't, you know, if it fails the second time, I will definitely change probably into cannons, since I already have like very good skills with the cannons, and I will probably get a lot more DPS out of the Gnosis with cannons. But I wanted to have fun with the ship, so I mean, again, this is a less serious ship that I don't really, you know, I don't really use this ship for serious targets, obviously for obvious reasons. But nonetheless, I think it could be quite fun to try that. And the Cyclone is actually back. We have warped around the same time. That's kind of funny. Okay, well, we also warped at about the same distance. Okay, I have the wrong disruptor module, but that's fine. And based on the initial impact on how much DPS I'm doing to the Cyclone, I immediately thought to myself, well, that's a tanky one. And indeed, it does seem fairly tanky, or maybe just the decomposers don't have a lot of damage. But they also do use a lot of capacitor as well. And this is the moment where I immediately noticed that, yeah, this is not going to last long. The shield is definitely going down on the Cyclone, but my own shield is also going down. And my capacitor, even worse, my capacitor is also going down, since they're using I think they might be using not a decomposer, but a neutralizer or a capacitor battery. So yeah, my capacitor is pretty much gone, and my shield is gone. The primary tank is gone. The Cyclone is still in shield. I have decent amount of armor, but yeah, I'm going to go until 50% armor, and then I'm warping out. Yep, time to warp out. Oh well. And this is why I'm saying the Gnosis failed. The the first time the build here failed. The Cyclone was a bit too tanky for the Gnosis. Maybe if I had a Guidance Disruptor, maybe it would help a little bit, but probably not, to be honest. Shouldn't be much of a difference on a battlecruiser. So I'll be warping around to wait out the weapon timer, and then I am going to be docking, changing ships, and I'll be right back with the Cyclone there. But yeah, as I mentioned before, trial and error. I'm willing to test out weird ships and weird builds. It's kind of funny how the first thing like anyone does is basically start to be salty in the local chat. It's kind of funny.
Warp drive active.
But that lol, I'll be the one who's going to be laughing last. That's the fun part. That's the funny part. And the Cyclone pilot just doesn't know that yet. So let me grab a different ship. I have already demonstrated last time that you can easily just dock.
Docking request
With
accepted.
dock with timer and change ships, and then dock with timer as well. Just warp, but you don't have to. You must not touch any module or anything similar. Now, since this Cyclone did seem a bit tanky, I'll take something that can crack open tanks like no big deal, and that is the Selas. That's the unassembled one. This is the assembled one. Okay. The Selas, the ship that I love to fly to quickly burn down something that has quite a bit of tank. A very, very serious cruiser that can achieve over 9000 DPS given the right circumstances. Okay, let me warp to the Cyclone, and I'll warp right at 0. Now let's see if they find this funny. It would be funny if they actually stay.
Warp drive active.
I don't expect them to stay when this thing lands, because this is the Selas, scary cruiser. Didn't really bother to change the build much, didn't bother to fit the Guidance Disruptor, which is fine. And, well, the Cyclone is not on grid. Now I'll orbit at 0, so I don't get shot by those. Oh, well, there's the Cyclone, they actually came back. Let's see if they accept to fight with the Selas. They accepted to fight with the Gnosis. Let's see if they feel the same about the Selas. Well, guess not. This is what I'm talking about. They know to throw salt, but are the first one to warp out when
Warp drive
something
active.
matching appears. That's why I never really open local chat. I never really write anything in local chat. My local chat is off in most cases. Okay, well, I'll warp back to the Cyclone, 53 kilometers, and I will wait. Now I have the battery mode always enabled nowadays, because the battery mode doesn't really have any downside besides reducing your capacity recharge, and I can live with a lower capacity recharge. Capacitor doesn't really matter much on the cells. The speed penalty is also gone, which is amazing. The ship is now lighting fast in the battery mode, which made the cells even more scary. Now let's see if they will come back. Will be funny if they do. I will be waiting at about the distance that they landed the first time. Also, my timer is also going to go away very soon, and I might change the builds, but that's a very... I mean, I might change, might not change. I usually don't bother to change the build much, since it doesn't really matter much unless I'm fighting a more serious target. But I'm very curious to see if the Cyclone will last long against this thing. Okay, what happened? Well, the Cyclone brought a friend. Well, I guess so much for a 1v1 in the end. A Vexor and a Cyclone. Okay, now they're both about 70-80 kilometers from the gate. I swapped the
Warp
builds.
drive
I
active.
added a cloaking device so I can lurk around in the anomaly, and I also added a different disruptor so I can match the missiles. But in this case, I guess it will not matter much, since I will be fighting two ships, one drone boat and a different ship, a missile
Warp
boat.
drive
So let's warp in. Now the first primary target will be the Cyclone. The Vexor isn't much of a big deal, isn't much of a big problem. I can probably kill the Vexor in like 2 hits, but the Cyclone probably obviously the tankier target of the two. Okay, well, let's go after the Cyclone first. A decent warp in. I have them at about my optimal range. Not the highest DPS output at the moment, since I'm using a cloaking device now. Well, I guess that's not much, yeah, that's not a lot of tank there. As expected, since this thing has just much more DPS. Way more DPS than the Gnosis. Now that Vexor is trying to rush me. I don't think the Cyclone will warp off, so let me keep the Vexor at range. I have theoretically 60-70 kilometer range with the artillery cannons, so I'm still going to be able to hit the Cyclone at a long distance. Yeah, let me just approach a little bit, since Vexor is not a big threat at all. Okay, Cyclone destroyed. Let's go after the Vexor now. Well, yeah, the Vexor is going to go down very quickly. The Vexor actually rushed me, which is kind of funny. And one last shot. And Vexor destroyed. There we go. Well, let me loot the wrecks and let me destroy the pods. Well, one pod warped off. Okay, fair enough. That was a nice 2v1. My friend also warped in, but I destroyed 2 ships. I destroyed the 2 ships before the Prophecy warped in. And let's take a look at the other wreck. The good thing about the Selas is it got buffed. Not only with the special mode being changed, but the shield recharge has also been improved, vastly improved. So now the shield recharge on this thing is pretty good, and it can passively tank. If you want to build a passive tank Selas, you can, but in most cases you don't have to do that, just go full DPS. This thing has a lot of DPS to offer. But that was fun. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said that I'll have the last laugh. That's why you should never just throw salt in local, because you never know what can happen next. Well, that's not a bad build, definitely. And the Vexor. Yeah, the Vexor was definitely different, okay. But nonetheless, a pretty expensive Vexor, to be honest. 127 million for a Vexor, that's pretty decent. That's pretty decent for a tier 5 cruiser.
Undocking.
Okay, let's go to the next target. I am in the Gnosis. Well, I mean, a little target practice for the Gnosis is never a bad thing. We have a retriever. I actually wanted to drop the Noctis on the retriever again, but did feel like a battle retriever, so I just went with something a bit different. And I went with the Gnosis. Again, if the ship does fail or keep failing, I'll probably change the build into something that will probably work. But for now, I just want to see if I was just unlucky with the Decomposer build. Good thing about the Gnosis, it does lock fast, which is kind of funny. And let's focus fire the retriever. That's definitely not a battle retriever. Would be funny though. I wish. I did buy a battle retriever and a battle procurer and a battle coveter although I haven't brought them back to my home station yet, or I think I just haven't really recorded a up-to-date like hangar, you know, hangar intro video. So I do have both of three of these ships now, and I will definitely be using them for some fun. Okay, let's loot that and let's warp out. Actually, do I have to warp out? I'm already in a belt. Let's warp out. Warp out and then dock with the Gnosis. And then we will take a look at the kill.
Warp
Good
drive
thing about
active.
these ships, they warp fast. They're definitely agile, and really hoping with the future rebalance or tech tree balance, however they call it, really hope that these ships become a bit more useful. They definitely need more skill per level bonuses. Would be nice if they do get a skill per level bonus. Would make them a lot more used, I guess, since the Gnosis can actually be a very good ship. And let's dock with timer now.
Warp
Also love the
drive
nanocore
active.
on this thing. It looks very good. I kinda wish that these ships were able to be traded on the market in one way or the other, but unfortunately they are clone bound and you can't really trade them. You can destroy them, but I don't really advise that you do that, because
Docking request
after all they
accepted.
are still kind of, you know, special ships. Okay, let's take a look at the kill that we made here. 140 million, not bad. Definitely good loot though. Those mining lasers are definitely something on the market. Some of them lasers are quite the valuable thing to
Undocking.
sell on the market, and that's a thing that I am a fan of. Now, next target we have a Omen Navy, and of course I just have to use something that I haven't used so far, and in this case it is the Canoe prototype. Actually not a terrible
Warp drive
PvP ship,
active.
but this build obviously not the right build I would use for most targets, but you know, for less serious targets and just for the fun and for the lols and giggles, I'll be using decomposers on it. After all, it does have a bonus on them. But yeah, this is something I like to do for fun. Drop weird ships on targets, and should honestly be quite fun to use this. After all, it is a special ship and a rare one, not something you see nowadays that often. Well, I'm approaching the Navy.
We're under attack.
They are not warping off, that's a good thing. And within the range in couple moments. In range, let's open fire. Now this is a kite, built as a kite. Can theoretically be built as a brawl build, but decomposers, at least the current ones that we have, are more of a long range weapon with good range but poor tracking. That's why I'm keeping the Omen Navy at distance, at range. However, the decomposers should be melting armors, so I'm very interested to see what will happen on the armor on that ship. Well, that's actually doing some good damage. Not bad damage, that's for sure. The Omen Navy is now into hull. They are boosting shield, might have a cursed Omen. We're about to find out. And the Omen is destroyed. Okay. Let's loot the wreck and let's see what we got from the Omen. Not a slow battlecruiser, that's for sure. This thing is actually fairly fast. I do like the speed on the prototype. And why am I flying the... Well, I mean, I like to fly weird ships, and we have definitely a good confirmation that we will get young ships anytime. Actually, could happen any moment there, to be honest. So I just in case they do drop new ships like tomorrow, I have all the relevant skills maxed out. I also have stockpiled on the modules, which will probably skyrocket in price. I think I have like 50 billion in decomposers gathered over time, most of which I actually got for free from PvP. After all, you have to remember that I have been doing
Warp
this for
drive active.
4 years now, and I've destroyed a lot of ships over time. And I've had the chance to loot a lot of wrecks. So at the time there was a time in the game where decomposers were quite common. Now they're quite rare, and I have I think the largest stock in the game of decomposers at the moment. So I'm fairly good with when it comes to decomposers. I'm not really worried about the
Docking
when they are
request accepted.
released. I'm making bank, that's for sure. I'm going to like make 60 billion or something just in decomposers. Anyway, I mean that's at least the estimated price. When it goes up, it will go up, and I'll definitely take advantage of the price hike when the time arrives. Could be very soon. Let's take a look at the kill. 71 million ISK. Well, I did get a good ritual beam laser, a shield tank Omen. Well, not exactly a very cursed build, but definitely a armor tank there. In any case, was a decent target, decent kill. Let's go to the next targets, and let's see. We have a Drake. Now I took the Selas out. Usually when I'm fighting a
Warp
Drake,
drive
I take
active.
the Selas because the Drake can actually be quite the hard ship to break. I know Drakes can be tanky. Although sometimes I mean sometimes, maybe one day I'll drop a battlecruiser on the Drake. I have a bunch of ships that I would like to take, but just to, to make things, in this case, safer, not safer when it comes to damage I'll take,
Warp
but
drive
safer
active.
to basically ensure that I catch the target, since the Drake wasn't exactly close to zero. They have been quite far away. It did look like a long-range kite Drake, so the Selas is just the more suitable ship for the job, since it's fast, and a cruiser just is much faster than a battlecruiser. Ironically, I nailed the warping. Ironically, I say, because I wasn't really sure that I'll land close to it, but I did. And the Drake has been engaged, pointed, well, maintain distance. The Drake has no chance to approach me. It's a battlecruiser, one of the lower battlecruisers, so the Drake approaching or being faster than my Selas is a bit unreal. The Drake is now into armor, in the hull, my apologies, and the Drake is destroyed. Well, let's take a look at the wreck. Didn't appear to be that tanky. Must have been a long-range kite Drake with no tank. Yeah, that definitely looks like it. And now let me go to the belt.
Attack.
My battle mode is always enabled. I never turn that off anymore. No need, because there is no penalty on the speed. The only reason why I kept the battle mode offline until I engage a target was speed. Once the buff happens, there is no reason for me to have the battle mode disabled. It can be enabled and stay like that. 546 million ISK, not bad actually. That's a fairly solid Drake kill right there. I'll take it. And yes, it was kind of a long range. Didn't have much tank, which was obvious. And they also had one stab. 2 points. Well, I had 1 point there. Technically, one effective point. Wasn't enough to hold the Drake from warping. Okay, well, let's go to the next target. Now we have a retriever or a
Docking
coveter.
request
We're about to
accepted.
find out, and I'm going to take the Noctis for this target. The Noctis, Battle Noctis. I love to fly this. You know, the Noctis, I kind of changed the build recently, or maybe not during the recording of this video, but afterwards I think I changed the build and basically added 3 targeting rigs on the Gnosis, because the lock-on time for this thing is atrocious. Actually, yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm doing that right in this video. Okay, so the lock-on time on this thing is atrocious. It takes 8 years to lock something. So I did swap some of the rigs for the targeting rigs, just so I can lock faster on this thing. Also, tackle Noctis might actually be a thing, since you have like 5 medium slots and you can drop this thing on pretty much anything that you want. Has enough points and enough tackle to haul stuff, and it's also fairly cheap. So if you definitely want a tackle ship, the Gnosis, ironically or unironically, is a very fine choice to do so. Other thing I don't like about this ship is the align time. It takes way too long. Basically I have to use an afterburner or a macro warp drive to quickly align myself and warp faster. That's the only like drawback on the Gnosis, on the Noctis. But ironically, it does have over 1000 DPS with the barrage and with everything active. So on the DPS side of things, it's actually not that bad, and that's only with 2 guns, which is I guess a little fun fact about the Noctis. I do like to fly this thing. Definitely a fun little thing for something, you know, less serious and for fun. Battle Noctis, Noctis, Gnosis, so similar names. Now, the retriever or covet or whatever it was, it's not here, unfortunately. And I'll warp around. You will see where the retriever was. I mean, in the end, it's kind of funny. So close, but so far. And this is why I actually sometimes fit a scanner on the Noctis. Since, I mean, it already has like 5 medium slots, might as well sacrifice 1 slot for a scanner for the random unsuspecting log off target that could happen. It does have DPS, and you can actually roam around with the Noctis. Believe it or not, you can roam around with the Noctis and find some funny targets with it and get some funny kills with it. I mean, that's like the point of games, to have fun, and I'm having a blast with these things. Let's go to the next belt. From one belt to the other belts until I find where the mining ship went. Would drop this, and I plan to drop this on basically anything that flies, to be honest, but you just have to wait for the right moment. I usually pick a specific ship for a specific target, and as you could see on the start of the video, I have a lot of ships, and sometimes it's difficult to choose, so I pick randomly. Every ship will get action. There is no ship that's...
Warp drive active.
I actually have no ship that doesn't have a kill mark. I even have kill marks with a shuttle, believe it or not. No idea how I got them, but even my shuttles have kill marks somehow. So yeah, there is no ship that I have that doesn't have a kill mark on it, in one way or the other. Every single ship in my hangar has seen PvP in one way or the other. Well, that's a very sneaky retriever.
Warp drive active.
That's definitely a very sneaky retriever. Could technically be cloaked. I thought about that. Could be cloaked. The retriever can be cloaked. Let's see if they do show up at one point eventually. And well, this is where my bad luck is kicking in. So, nothing now, right? Nothing visible right now. Until this moment. And by the time I realized my ship already warped and I completely missed my opportunity to tackle the retriever. I could have tackled it if I just locked it on the second it showed up. They logged out. I have no scanner, and yeah, that's the definition of a epic fail. But nonetheless was a fun chase. That's why from now on I'll just fit a scanner on the retriever, a cheap one, and scan targets that log off in front of my nose. In any case, it was a fun little run today. Definitely will improve the ships that I used today, especially the Gnosis. I'll give the build one more chance, or two more chances. It depends. I mean, depends how it goes. But we will see what will happen with the Gnosis. Maybe it will be changed. Maybe it will remain the same. In any case, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. And with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.